Business now with Charles Pellegrin. For the first time, Chinese electric vehicle maker BYD has seen its revenue surpass that of Tesla's, hasn't it?
This definitely feels like a milestone in the fierce rivalry between the Chinese and U.S. electric vehicle makers. This concerns the latest quarter, so the months between July and September this year. And BYD saw its revenue jump 24% year on year to over 200 billion yuan. That's just over $28 billion. And this beats Tesla's revenue for the same period, which stood at over $25 billion. BYD actually beat its monthly sales record in September. And looking at net income, or profits though, when you take out all the costs from that revenue, well, Tesla still has the upper hand with over $2 billion in profits in the last quarter.
So what's behind BYD's incredible performance then?
Well, electric vehicle sales have been given a boost in China thanks to government subsidies, which encourage consumers to trade in their gas-powered cars for electric vehicles or hybrids. As of last week, as many as 1.5 million applications were submitted to receive a $2,800 subsidy. This is on top of other existing government incentives. One example, government agencies are now encouraged to buy local electric vehicles to support the industry. One other way in which BYD benefits over Tesla here is that it offers hybrids in addition to electric vehicles.
And these types of subsidies, of course, Charlotte, what's led to a global backlash against Chinese manufacturers.
This is the type of thing that has led Washington, Brussels and Ottawa to say that Chinese car makers have an unfair advantage, and which has led them to apply import tariffs on Chinese vehicles. EU tariffs have been applied starting this week and could be worth up to just over 43% of the value of the car, but those tariffs are much higher for the US and Canada at 100% of the value of imports, effectively doubling prices. Just to show you how important the European market is for China, Europe accounted for more than 40% of EVs shipped from China in 2023. Beyond government support, the issue is also the overcapacity of Chinese makers who have to look to foreign markets to make up for low consumer sentiment at home.
Let's check in on the European markets now with Charles.
Yeah, we're seeing the major bourses here opening lower this Thursday. As you can see, the FTSE in London down 0.5% lower, the Paris CAC 40 down 0.75% lower. Investors looking forward to the latest Eurozone inflation data, which will be released later today, and what that will mean for the European Central Bank's rate cutting cycle. Banks leading the losses actually on the CAC 40, BNP Paribas, its shares losing 5% in value as interest rates are starting to get lower, which is generally bad news for the banking sector.
Another story involving China now, in fact. New figures showing the massive inroads that Chinese e-commerce has made in the European market.
The CEO of the French postal service spoke at a Senate panel where he told lawmakers that just two Chinese platforms, Shein and Temu, now make up nearly a quarter of packages delivered in France. Low-value imports are generally exempted from customs fees. Here in France, the threshold is 150 euros before any import duties are applied. The policy that has helped to spark a massive fast fashion e-commerce phenomenon. NGOs and Western governments, though, are now sounding the alarm on environmental and consumer protection grounds. Brian Quinn reports.
A Chinese e-commerce boom felt keenly in France. At a session of the Senate's Economic Affairs Commission Wednesday, the chief of the French Postal Service outlined just how big two platforms in particular have grown in recent years.
Temu and Shein now account for 22% of our packages in Europe. 5 years ago, that was less than 5%.
La Poste says Chinese e-commerce makes up an even bigger proportion of packages in France than in the rest of continental Europe. Launched in China in 2008, Shein has since become emblematic of the worst social and environmental excesses of fast fashion, cranking out an endless variety of low-quality clothing at breakneck speed, selling it at rock-bottom prices and shipping worldwide, usually with no customs fees. NGOs have decried the exploitation of workers in textile factories and the use of potentially dangerous chemicals that are often banned in Europe. Similar problems are also found at Shein's main competitor, Temu. The site sells not just clothes, but also toys and housewares, some for just a few cents. In recent years, a flood of low-value Chinese imports has overwhelmed Western customs controls. In the U.S., streamlined duty-free import laws have been blamed for easing the influx of chemicals used to make the synthetic opioid fentanyl. At the end of September, 6 EU countries asked the European Commission to crack down. Brussels has since demanded proof from Shein and Temu that they are following EU consumer protection laws.
Charles, thank you very much. Charles Pellegrin with the business news on France 24.